right, it's 3:45. Deneen Diamond starts on time and ends on time. So my name is Deneen Diamond. I'm the lead for the Center of Excellence for Health. I am extremely excited to introduce my guest today. Stacy Smith is going to be taking us through a presentation, and I'm just going to do a quick bio, and I'm going to turn it over to Stacy. So Stacy is a 2020 Dalhousie kinesiology graduate from St. John, New Brunswick. She was a co-chair of the Youth Advisory Council of the Youth Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Services Review conducted by New Brunswick Child and Youth Advocates Office. That is a mouthful. She is also the executive director of the Young Canadians Roundtable on Health, founder of the Mental Health Student Support Network, and a youth partner for FRAME. She was a recipient of the PHE Canada Student Leadership Award in 2018-2019 for her leadership role in the School of Health and Human Performance. She is currently attending the University of New Brunswick in Fredericton in the Bachelor of Education. And Stacy was just named my intern for Center of Excellence for Health. Welcome, Stacy. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Deneen. That was a great introduction, and yeah, I'm looking forward to working with the center this summer. It'll be a really great experience. So like she mentioned, my name is Stacy Smith, and I'm the executive director. I know it says co, this wasn't edited. Executive director of the Young Canadians Roundtable on Health. And I'll be going through a little bit about who we are, what we do, and a little bit about some meaningful youth engagement strategies you may be able to use in your classroom and adapt those to the different people you're teaching. So this is literally what she just said, but I'll still kind of go through it really quickly. Again, I'm from St. John, New Brunswick. Did my Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology at Dalhousie University. So I lived in Halifax for 8 years prior to coming back. Now that I'm studying at UNB Fredericton, doing my BEd, I'm doing elementary specifically. I've been the executive director since 2020. I actually came onto the YCRH right when the pandemic started, coming in first as the Director of Relations and Outreach, and transitioning over to the ED role in November of 2020. Also mentioned, I was a co-chair as part of the Youth Advisory Council when we did the Youth Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Services Review that was done by the New Brunswick Child and Youth Advocates Office. I've worked in various research roles. Right now, I'm just currently with Motivate Canada, doing some research and evaluation for them, wrapping things up there. And I'm also a research assistant with Dalhousie University at the moment, working on one of their older adult projects in the School of Occupational Therapy. And I've been an advocate for mental health, youth mental health specifically, as someone with lived experience, also school food, and really any child and youth health issues. So a little bit about us. We're a national youth-led, youth-run advisory committee that participates in decision-making around child and youth health, providing that youth perspective that many organizations really need, because we're the ones on the ground with that experience. We work in partnership with the Sandbox Project. So the Sandbox Project is the National Child and Youth Charity. They do more of the research, knowledge mobilization, translation of different child and youth health issues, not only nationally, but also they have some things they're doing internationally over in Ghana. And really with them, they really provide more of the administrative support for us, financial, paperwork, things like that. So they really do keep a hands-off approach. They do provide support if we need it, if we need some advice or anything like that. But we are truly youth-run and youth-led and have autonomy to really pick what we'd like to focus on every year in our projects. They are based in Ontario, here in Toronto, where I'm actually calling in from. We're made up of about, actually, I think 50 youth now, I think as of like last week, between the ages of 15 and 31 from across the country. We are in all provinces. Still looking for some youth from out north, the territories, the Yukon. That's been a tough one to get. So any recommendations, feel free to reach out to me. We do have a great representation in the East Coast. We actually have about 6 New Brunswickers, which is actually the most we've ever had. So I'm really happy to have been able to increase the representation not only out east, but also in the province. So our objectives, like I kind of mentioned, we're hoping to be Canada's strong youth voice in issues relating to child and youth health. And we do lead youth in creating independent initiatives and policy proposals and projects in the areas of injury prevention, mental health, growing healthy bodies in the environment. I'd say every year our area of focus does change. I'd say this year we have big focus on mental health, and really that COVID-19 lens is a part of that, because obviously we're not out of the woods yet. To create opportunities to support and educate Canadian youth with the goal of improved quality of health and youth across the country, to develop new relationships with people and organizations involving child and youth health issues, to generate national awareness of youth health initiatives, and finally collaborate with partners, just like Center for Excellence of Health, to advance equity and inclusion in child and youth-related research and programs. So our mission and vision, we actually recently just created these. So our mission is to close the gap that exists between youth and policymakers regarding youth health, and to be that collaborating organization that represents diverse Canadian youth. One kind of line that the former executive director with me said is, we'd like to really be the household name for youth engagement in the country. So we're striving for that every day. And our vision is to have a world where youth can share and discuss concerns without judgment about their health and well-being, and contribute to the development of initiatives that influence their community. And then our values. We want to make sure we're including and respecting diverse Canadian youth voices through equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And I'll be touching on this more, but to make sure it's not a tokenistic relationship. It's something that we really strive for, is to ensure that any of the projects or initiatives we take part in, it's something that we actually find meaningful. We also want to advocate, engage, and consult with Canadian youth, not only within the YCRH, but outside, and fostering national partnerships and collaboration with Canadian youth organizations. So we'll get into more of the structure of the YCRH. So our leadership team consists of, obviously, myself as the executive director. No term limit on the executive director. It's really as long as I like to stay on, which I don't foresee myself leaving anytime soon. Then we have different directors. So we have a director of events. They lead the implementation and creation of our events each year. Our director of relations and outreach. This was the role I formerly had, where we do a lot of the social media content, posting social media content, making sure our website's up to date and done properly, and really doing outreach to different organizations that we may be able to collaborate with. I think I've kind of done that role a lot over the last little while, but it is to fill. We also have a director of research and grants, so they focus on researching whatever kind of topic area of focus we have for the year, and then obviously finding grants to support those initiatives. While Sandbox does provide a small budget for us, we are both kind of, we're a nonprofit, they're a charity, so we definitely always are looking for more opportunities to find funding. And a few new roles. So we have a co-directors of policy. This is brand new that we just implemented this year. There's such a need for youth voice around policy work. So this is something we thought was really important, and we have lots of great things on the go with this. So lots coming soon on that. And we also have our co-directors of equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility, just to ensure that all of our work that we do, programming that we have, has that EDIA lens. And we also have our director of memberships. So they help with the retention and recruitment of current and new members, making sure that their experience is worthwhile and that they're getting something out of being part of the YCRH. So we also have project leads. So they lead and implement their own projects. They fill out a project proposal form, giving to do. I'll be talking about a couple projects that we have going on that were from some project proposals. It's a really great way for youth to develop leadership skills and just kind of learn how to run their own project. We also have our general members, which obviously makes up the most of the YCRH, and they sit on the various subcommittees and they help a lot of the leadership team. So communications working groups kind of been stagnant. We've kind of broke out into several different campaigns rather than a working group. We have more project working groups, I would say, which I know I don't have on here, but that's something now. So that means, depending on the project, someone will be helping in different aspects of that. We also have our policy working briefs, helping to inform some of those opinions that we are putting within those. And finally, our equity working group, which is helping to make sure that all of our programming and all of everything we do has that equity lens. So a little bit more about our projects. So we have several that are on the go, which are the top three there. I'm in the engagement toolkit right now. We had a project last year, not myself, but the former executive director, Unyenga, around the importance of youth voices. So this entailed interviewing many youth advisory councils from across Canada to get a sense of the different youth engagement strategies they do, whether they were successful, whether they weren't great, ways to improve. And from those, we came up with meaningful youth engagement strategies, which I'll talk about at the end. But we wanted to kind of continue on with this in another lens. So this toolkit was something that we decided to kind of start with, really more on teaching youth how to kind of advocate for themselves when it comes to policy in healthcare and different issues that affect them. Right now, I think our biggest focuses are going to be mental health and substance use, physical health and nutrition, as well as bullying and cyberbullying. So we're just kind of in the process of figuring out the way and the format we're going to have for this. And we're still working with some great collaborators on this from across Canada in the different sectors. So lots more to come on that. We also have our children's book we're working on. It's on resiliency post-COVID-19, youth ages 5 and up. This was actually one of the projects that was proposed to us, which was really something we've never kind of gotten into before, is creating a book. So this will be a children's book that children and youth rather can learn how to be resilient post-COVID, whatever that actually is. We're working with about 20 different advisors and consultants from across Canada that have the expertise to be able to inform the book, and making sure that it's accurate, that we're using the right research and the right science. We want to make sure that it's informed as best as possible. And our other project we have on the go that was from our proposal was our Photo Voice project. So this is a qualitative research project. For those of you who don't know, qualitative is more research that's actually you're able to describe it with words rather than numbers. So this Photo Voice is going to be looking at the effects of, again, COVID-19 on youth mental health. So what they do is they submit a photo to us that represents their mental health. It doesn't need to be a photo of them. It could be a drawing. It can just be a picture of the sun, like something like that, something as simple as that. And then we go through the process of kind of dissecting the meaning behind it and how that represents their mental health. So right now, we're in the process of doing ethics, because this is going to be a research project. We'll be partnering with institutions up in Ontario for this. So again, lots more to come on that, and we'll be recruiting some youth for that as well. And these are a couple projects we recently completed. Healthy Debate's actually one of them, which I have right here, called In Their Own Words. So this project, again, was a partnership with a website called Healthy Debate. It's an online op-ed healthcare website that does a lot of op-ed pieces on different healthcare issues by various physicians across Canada and now youth. So we had the opportunity to, again, talk about our experience post-COVID-19 or during the pandemic in different formats. So this could be photos, poems, op-ed pieces, pictures. So here's kind of an example of some of the things that were submitted to us, just to give you a sense of some of the things we got. Some really, really great drawings. And we also had a few kind of experts as well, like quick little kind of paragraphs about their experiences. So this was very well received by many in the community, and lots of folks are really interested in this. And we are still taking submissions as well. And I know we'll probably talk more about that. I am going to backtrack here because we still have one other project that we have on the list. So we worked with the Coalition for Healthy School Food. They've been advocating for a national school food program for many years now. And we did a report with them based around some youth focus groups we did this past summer. So we want to know about how youth have experienced access to school food, not just with the COVID-19 lens, but even before the pandemic even came on, and be able to use this to inform, various governments, whether it's federal, provincial, and so why this be funded. So we did these in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and British Columbia, and it's a resounding yes, we do need this. A lot of youth don't feel like they have enough options. They feel like they don't have enough healthy options, which is something that I found very interesting. And I think this report will really help to inform the federal government throughout that process. I know actually today, April 7th, is budget day, so we'll see in a few hours whether there's going to be any funding for the beginning stages of this national school food policy. I know MP Don Davies from the NDP, he's been advocating for this and started a bill in Parliament right before Christmas. And I know this report itself was actually used to help inform the Nova Scotia government on their provincial policy. It already is being used for, in many great positive ways. We also have a project proposal, so I'll kind of get more into that. So our YCRH members have the chance to submit their own projects. So they fill out our form, just telling us about the project, why there's a need for it, what resources they need, and how we can support them. And then we go through as, I go through with them, rather, as the executive director, just making sure that they have everything they need and whether there is a need for it as well, because we also don't want to take on too many things, and we don't want to take things on that aren't relevant to what's going on in the world. And then external projects. So we work with a lot of different organizations, aside from the ones I mentioned here. So we've worked with the Students' Commission of Canada. We helped to inform the State of the Youth report that was put out last year. We're going to be working with UNICEF and their One Youth Canada organization on their upcoming report card that's coming out in May. That's a continuing partnership. We've also worked with the Inspiring Healthy Futures Project, We Can for Kids, that'll be continuing as well. So we work with a lot of different organizations on various things, whether it's research, focus groups, just helping to doing anything if it helps to bring these issues to light. So just kind of skip through this. So a little bit more about our engagement. So we have our strategic plan. We actually just put this out for the first time ever this past year, just so folks that want to partner with us have an idea of what our goals are, where our values are, and what we'd like to accomplish for the year, and whether these partners may kind of have those similar synergies and we could work together. Not every organization sees eye to eye with what we'd like to do. So we wanted to kind of have this document so we know what direction we want to go in. And we'll be putting this out on a yearly basis. This is also all of this information can be found on our website, which I can showcase at the end. We also have our monthly meetings and newsletters. So prior to doing monthly meetings, we kind of did bi-monthly meetings, but members kind of wanted to meet on a more regular basis. So we switched over to monthly meetings. This gave us a chance to really update members more often, providing more opportunities for them to be involved, and just keep them up to date. We also have 2 different newsletters. So another idea that members wanted was an internal newsletter, again, just so they're up to date on what's going on. And this is also a great chance to provide different opportunities for them that are external to the YCRH. So we provide them with opportunities that are out there, different jobs, trainings, research projects they can be involved with. And now we have a great partnership with the Women's Brain Health Initiative youth group that's based in Ontario, where we have a monthly newsletter, or sorry, a monthly blog rather, in our newsletter about something to do with brain health, which is really great. And we do the same thing with our external newsletter, keeping our partners and community members updated on what we have going on. Again, we provide those same jobs, volunteer opportunities, trainings and research projects, and as well as that same blog post from the Women's Brain Health Initiative. And also I'll show where you can actually sign up for that external newsletter. We also have professional development opportunities we offer our members each month. We want to be able to provide benefits for joining the YCRH, and this is one of them. We reach out to different people to be able to bring them in to offer, skill building sessions, career building sessions. So right now we're actually going to be doing part 2 of our grant writing session later this month with a great organization based out of Newfoundland. We've also done some on logic models, lay writing. We did one on how to improve your LinkedIn profile. Anything that our members would like, we try to find somebody out there that is willing to us and be able to improve their skills. We also have our communication platforms. So when it comes to talking to everybody out there, we have our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'd say Twitter is our most utilized, with Instagram next. I say Facebook starting to phase out for youth. A lot more, I'd say, older folks are using it. So it's been tough to engage youth on there. And when it comes to talking to our members internally, email's their most favorite form of communication, of course, but we also do use Slack. We have a Slack channel to be able to post opportunities that may not make our newsletter, and we can actually talk to each other a bit more faster than we would via email. And then our communication strategy. So we made a strategy in terms of communicating, not really with our internal members, but communicating with the public when it comes to our social media. So typically we used to just really share external opportunities and external content from other organizations, but we really wanted to have more homegrown content. So we've had our members creating different social media graphics and content around different, we have a week coming up where we're going to be doing National Immunization Week. We were part of the Kids and Vaccines Day that happened back in January, a great partnership we did with Children's Healthcare Canada, Science Up First, and the Sandbox Project. And we're excited to do this immunization week with Immunize Canada, Children's Healthcare Canada again, as well as Science Up First again. We'll also be doing one probably in May on Mental Health Week, so that'll be a really great one. This content's right from the youth. They're able to research themselves, and they get an honorarium for making content, which is something we'll talk about in terms of meaningful youth engagement later. But we just like having that homegrown content. And our other communication we do with our members is blog posts. So every month we have one of our members complete a blog post on any topic they'd like to do that has to do with child and youth health. So last month we had our co-director of policy, Hannah Bailey. She did a post on athletes and eating disorders, which is really some great content. Other months we may have something on, I think we have one coming up for April on International Water Day. We'll probably do something in May on Mental Health Week again. We do try to kind of line it up with things that are going on, whether it's a dedicated day or not. So that's kind of what we'd love to do there. And it's great to see content right from them. Just gonna take a drink of water. All right. Our last engagement we do is our feedback survey. So after every meeting, we do send out a feedback survey to our members just to find out if the meeting was engaging to them, whether they got something out of the meeting, and ways that we can improve. We always try better with the YCRH because we want to make sure they're actually getting something out of this. Down the road. We also do this at the 6-month mark of any year. So we put in a full, kind of a more in-depth survey just to find out if there's anything they'd like to see done differently, or whether there's any professional development they'd like to see us do, and just any feedback we could get on how to be better. All right, so we're going to move into some of the meaningful youth engagement strategies that we came up with based around those conversations with YACs. So Umienga actually interviewed about 20 YACs that were child and youth health focused from across Canada, and this is kind of what we came up with. So we want to have active and intentional partnership between youth and organizations, and ensuring youth are involved in all of those parts. So whether they're, co-creation and co-collaboration is a big part of a lot of the work we do. So we want to make sure that's part of any partnership or program that we're doing. We want to make sure youth can voice their perspectives and ideas without judgment, and they're the ones that are experts at the table. Something great that I, have heard from the mental health organization Frame is living expertise rather than lived experience. They're the ones with the expertise and the ones that are out on the ground. So use that and make sure it's a safe space for them where they can use that. We also want to make sure initiatives and programs incorporate the ideas of and experiences of youth. So that's why we have our, project proposal form. That's why we want YCRH members to come to us. I have an open door policy when it comes to that. They can email me anytime with any ideas or anybody they'd like us to collaborate with. That's always something we make sure we do. We want to make sure youth get to build on their knowledge and skills through engagement. So we want to make sure that, they're actually taking something away from being part of the YCRH. And this is really important. We want to make sure that meaningful youth engagement is long-term and resource intensive. So we don't want it to be kind of a one and done, quick little thing. We want it to be, sustainable and something that can be continued to be done on a long-term basis. And we want to make sure it's beneficial not only to our youth, but to those organizations, our communities, and the broader public. It's not all about us. We want to make sure that we're giving back to other folks as well. So these are the 5 full promising practices that that we came up with. So we'll go through each of these. So we want to make sure youth engagement is not tokenistic. So for those who may not know the word tokenistic, I know it's a newer term. It's basically when you're involving any sort of demographic, whether it's seniors is another example, but you be involving youth just for the sake of involving them. You're actually not going to take into consideration what they're actually giving you. A token youth is a good term that folks use. So as you can see here on our ladder of youth voice that was adapted by Adam Fletcher from work that was done by Roger Hart, you can see how tokenism is pretty high up there when it comes, pretty low on the totem pole, when it comes to youth engagement. We want to make sure that it's a good relationship. So to ensure it's not tokenistic, we want to make sure youth are in leadership roles and embed them into the organization's work. So that's that's really great to see where we have our director roles. That really gives them a chance to be leaders in whatever aspect they want to do. So events, policy, EDIA work. And then they also create working plans each year of what they want to focus on within those areas. So it really kind of shapes what we do every year by having them in those roles. We also want to facilitate youth empowerment and independence. Autonomy is so, so important when you're doing youth work. I've been part of organizations that do not value that, and they don't do enough of it at all. So that's something that's really important. We want to empower them to be successful, make sure they have the resources they need, and they have the autonomy to make the decisions they'd like. We also want to focus on issues that are important to youth. So like I said, every year we focus on something different depending on our membership. We want to make sure that whatever that we're working on, they're interested in. And then we also co-evaluate what works and what doesn't work. So our feedback surveys that we do after every meeting, our feedback surveys we do at the 6-month mark, gives us an idea of what we can improve on. So we also want to work with youth to create the opportunities, spaces, and processes that would enable optimal engagement. I talked about enabling safer spaces, so judgment-free zone when it comes to, sharing their opinions, their ideas. Having youth-friendly communication. So we try not to use jargon. We want to just be specific and straight to the point when it comes to communicating with our members. And we kind of expect the same from some of our partners and organizations we work with. And we're trying to be clear about opportunities and expectations. So back when I first started with the YCRH, they had the terms of reference created for the first time. So we kind of have right in there what we expect of them. So in terms of a commitment, we do look for 3 to 5 hours per month of a commitment to our activities. And we also ask them to at least take part in 3 initiatives. Now, when we say that, I say that could be a social media campaign, a blog post. It doesn't need to be 3 big projects that you need to take part in. We really try to be flexible in that, which I'll actually be talking about a little bit in a few minutes. We also want to obviously provide options for involvement. So that's kind of goes back to the expectations of being involved in different things. So, being part of the project team, doing some duties for them, and also creating some social media content. There's lots of ways we can involve them. And then obviously using informal interactions to build relationships with youth. It is tough when we're virtual to be able to, engage youth online, especially during the time of the burnout from Zoom and, burnout from virtual things, to be honest. So we do try to do some fun activities. Actually this evening, I'm actually going to be having a Toronto meetup with some YCRH members. So I'm super excited to actually meet some folks. And then we've also done some game nights online, which have actually proven to be really popular. Just a fun way to let loose and just not talking about YCRH business. We also want to demonstrate value placed in youth input and unique experiences. I'd love to kind of point out 2016, the YCRH had the opportunity to attend the One Young World summit that they do every year. One Young World is an organization that does a lot of youth engagement on an international level. A lot of big kind of, I want to say household names, so a lot of big names attend this. Like I know, Meghan Markle, Justin Trudeau, Sophie Trudeau, people like that are actually in this event. And it was actually Ottawa in 2019. So we had a chance to have a workshop on some work we had done on youth health rights that we did a partnership with the University of Toronto and the AstraZeneca Youth Program. So really great experience. So some of the value that we make sure youth see, I mentioned is compensating youth for their time and input. That is so, so important. We now have an honorarium policy in place where we pay youth for blog posts, for social media content, if they lead a project, if they facilitate an event. And I've honestly just even included extra things that I see as value. So for example, I had someone complete an environmental scan recently on some school food youth groups we could work with, and I'm going to give them an honorarium for that. I try to be flexible and not just stick to certain things, but always providing that value. Establishing and maintaining feedback loops is also something that's super important. When youth give their feedback, they want to know that what they're saying is actually being used. So kind of circling back with them later to say, hey, this is how we use your information. And then striving for organizational buy-in and support for meaningful youth engagement. I think this really has to do with the Sandbox Project and their support of us. Our CEO, Christine Hampson, she's absolutely amazing, giving us the autonomy to do what we'd like to do. And really, she has bought into that youth-run, youth-led, and not just micromanaging us, which some organizations do still do, unfortunately. I know I'm already running over time, Deneen, I'm sorry. I only have a couple slides left. So provide supports and maintain flexibility to enable engagements from all participants. So providing the supports according to the needs of the youth. So we want to make sure that they have the supports they need to be successful in the YCRH, whether, we take meeting minutes after every meeting, and I'm someone who sends them out that night. Closed captioning, if someone has an auditory impairment, we also would have translation services for events and meetings. So just making sure things are there for them. And then having flexible processes and communications in place. I think, making sure that we're always communicating with each other. If I'm busy one time or someone else is busy another time with school, we know what's going on and can be kept in the loop with that. And ensuring you have representative membership at the table. So having conversations about who is missing. Again, we don't want to be tokenistic in recruiting someone just because we have them missing. We want them to actually have their opinions valued when they come to be part of the YCRH. And a big one, which actually at the conference I just presented at this week, was the theme of it, was going to where the youth are. Just so, we're able to find the youth that we're looking for. Something that's still a work in progress because we are virtual, but it's ongoing. And then finally, implementing processes and strategies to retain membership. So I'd say from last year to this year, I think we retained about 80% of our members from last year into 2022, which was a really great number. And I was super excited that it was that high. And that kind of goes back to having things available to them, an honorarium, professional development. A few other things I've offered is letters of reference, letters of support for jobs or school applications, volunteer hours if they're in high school or need them for anything else. We really just try to provide as many things we can for them that they'll want to stay. So that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me. That's my Sandbox Project email. And I'd be happy to answer any questions then, and happy to answer any questions now. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Stacy. I am shocked that you can speak more than me, I think. It was so exciting to hear your presentation, and I know I have the gift of talking, and I think that I've met my match. So thank you so much. What a wonderful presentation. I really appreciate it. And I will open the floor for anybody that's on. My team is on, which is wonderful to see. Thank you so much for attending. If anybody has any questions, certainly I'll open the floor. And we have no questions, which is absolutely fine because I think you did a fabulous job of presenting. I'm really excited to learn more about the YCRH, and I know that I'm going to learn a lot from the work that you've done with the organization, but also with the work that you've done throughout Canada. And it's really exciting to hear that you are presenting all over the country because you're a great representation of our youth and the engagement that you have within the YCRH, but just within health policy. It's really interesting and exciting to hear. So certainly we're going to hear more from you, I think. I'm excited to introduce you to the team and start working with you in May. I would love to have a copy of the presentation and share that out as well when we share the recording. So certainly that will be posted. And I want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're on vacation now in Toronto, so enjoy your time and make sure you enjoy every precious restaurant that's there and choice that you have. The food in Toronto is wonderful. So thank you so much. Thank you for everyone for attending. Just one quick question, Stacy, from me. What's the one thing that you love the most about working with YCRH? What is the one thing that you love the most?
I think it's being able to meet so many great and inspiring youth from across Canada. I have connections in literally all the provinces across this country. As you can see, I'm in Ontario and I'm going to meet some folks today that I might not have known otherwise. So, making these great connections, not only within the YCRH, but even with some of our partners. I'm also going to have the opportunity to go check out the MLSE Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment Launchpad here tomorrow, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So being able to even meet some of our partners. I just met the CEO of Sandbox yesterday for the first time. So I've had a chance to meet lots of great people that way. So I think that's probably my favorite part, is the networking connections I've had a chance to make.
Excellent. One more question. I love to ask questions. How did you get interested in the YCRH?
This is funny because I literally was just doing a Google search on, couldn't tell you what now, and I found the YCRH, and I'm like, I'm going to apply. and I applied as a general member at the time. And then, yeah, I became a member. I've always been interested in health because of my kinesiology background. And children and youth is something I've just always been really interested in. And now you see why I'm in education in elementary. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. And then I got into more of a leadership role a couple months into my general member term. And then once the ED position opened, I was like, oh, I want to do that 100%. So it's pretty neat because I'm actually the first executive director based outside of Ontario. So that's pretty cool.
You should be very proud of that. And one piece of advice for the youth that will be listening to the recording.
Take, any opportunity you have presented to you, jump at it, get involved. I feel like that's something you hear when you're in your first year orientation for university, but even in high school, that looks great to universities if you're applying. I think that's going to be really big. And being a part of the YCRH is great. Our membership's between the ages of 15 and 31, like I mentioned. So we're always looking for more high school representation, especially from New Brunswick too. We'd love to have some more folks. So any opportunity get presented to you, if you're interested in it, jump at it because it'll look great to your university application, college application. So that's probably my biggest advice.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I just want to let you know that I have a sister that lives in Whitehorse. So you said you needed a connection up north, and there's our connection. So we will talk. So
Yes.
Thank you so much from the Center of Excellence for Health. Very thankful to have Stacy Smith with us today. And we appreciate you sharing a little bit about what you do and really excited to hear more. So have a great day, everybody. And thanks so much for attending.
Thanks so much.